What is up, everybody? My name is Justin. This is Forever Self-Employed. In today's video, I'm joined with a very special guest. I got AP in the house. Aaron, how's it going, man?
What's up, my man?
Nothing much, man. So in this one, we're going to be talking about something special. The title of the video is "Not Having This is Going to Cost Your Business Thousands." And in this one, we're going to be talking about websites. Aaron's like the website specialist. So I'm going to ask him some questions along the lines of like why we need it, when we need it, things of that nature. But first and foremost, if you guys haven't checked out the local domination course, it'll be the first link in the comment section description. You can learn my Facebook strategy. You can learn about equipment, chemicals. It's like the #1 selling pressure washing business course in the world, as well as you guys are going to get Aaron's web content strategy. Aaron, as far as that web content strategy, can you give us anything of like why you would need a content strategy with regards to maybe your website?
Sure, because having a content strategy and learning how to create quality content that Google likes is a very important skill to develop. Once you have it, no one can take it from you, and Google doesn't change that much month to month, year to year. They're always looking for the most quality content, but how to create it is what we go through in the course. To where you're kind of just skipping the learning curve, and I'm going to teach you exactly what to do, how to build it. But what that's going to bring is just long-term authority to the site. And in the end, that's what we want. We want relevance, authority, where we're going to get into this in the call. But a lot of guys think that right when their website pops up, Google already knows everything about their business and finds them relevant for the services that they're wanting to offer to the market. And that's just not the case. It takes time for Google to really understand what your website is and how valuable it is versus the people who have been there for 5, 10 years. And then they're going to determine why is your information or authority or relevance more valuable to the public or less valuable to the public who are looking for what you have to offer. So that's what we go through in my content creation strategy, and just chop that learning curve in half, into thirds, into fourths, whatever, to where you can just skip all that and you know exactly what you need to do.
So if you didn't even know that you needed a web content strategy, you need to check out the local domination course first, link in the comment section and the description. Kind of like piggybacking off of that, Aaron. I know Mike has a saying that like when you start your business, not a lot of people care. So it kind of sounds like Google kind of takes that same cue up front is like, why should we prioritize this website over others? So is there any indications you can give us? Like obviously if you had a website that was older, it probably will rank better, but is it possible for newer websites to kind of, beat those out?
Not right off the bat. No, you're not. It's going to take time because time frames with Google don't work instantly, right? So they don't crawl websites, especially local business websites, as much as they would say a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi or any of these Fortune 500 companies that are getting millions of views a day, a month, whatever. The local business is kind of the step kid that doesn't get looked at over here. And what we want to do is kind of force Google's hand and make them crawl our site, make them look at us, if you will. Whereas most guys who are in your industry or whatever industry you're in, you're watching this, whether it's pressure washing, landscape, it doesn't matter. Most guys are just going to sit back and kind of be oblivious to the whole process anyway. And then they're not going to do anything to force Google's hand to make them look at their website to where we can jump up in the rankings much faster.
Right. So if you guys don't have a website, check it out. It'll be the second link in the comment section description. It'll be to the people who build my site, Aaron's site, and Cody's site as well. And they do an excellent job. If you use our link, you're actually going to save $600 a year as well. But Aaron, I was always of the school of thought that I didn't really need a website. I was like, well, I'm getting Facebook leads. I'm passing out flyers and things of that nature. Obviously, I learned over time that it's important. But can you kind of speak to the importance of a website, especially for people just starting out that, maybe they don't know?
Sure. So everything right now for local business, Google is the king currently. In 10 years, that may be different, but right now and for the past decade and a half minimum, Google has kind of owned the local search market. And so what we need to do is we need to give Google the best look we can in order to reverse engineer the eyeballs back to us. Okay. Shout out to everybody watching right now. We got to reverse engineer what they want. Okay. And the reason you want to have a website is because when you have a Google My Business, all right, a lot of guys know what Google My Business are. It's Google Business Profile now. It's a local listing. When someone searches for a service, you'll see 3 guys show up and they have stars. and you can click on one and call them. Well, that ranking right there is like premium real estate. All right, it's like the major building downtown your city, right? It's the most expensive spot, it's the coveted spot. But a guy like you can eventually obtain that coveted real estate. And if you're talking about real estate, you can take rent, meaning leads, and it's eventually comes out to basically free. Now, it does take a while to get to that point, but could you imagine, Justin? I know with you and I down in Baton Rouge, we've landed, $80,000 worth of leads, and it's been basically free. And we completed the jobs. We had a hospital, we had a few other big leads come through, and we've completed those jobs. So the ROI on this type of learning and this type of investment, you can't even calculate it. It's so huge in the percentage. You've never had an investment like this. And so if you'll invest on the front end, learn the strategies that I teach for content, you'll also invest in yourself, get Justin's link, get the $199 deal with the website. You're going to pair these two pieces of knowledge with the web team and what I'm going to teach you, and you're going to be light years ahead of your competition. At the end of the day, why do you want a website? Why is it important? It's because it's a huge credibility piece for customers. They can always look up that. And I know the guys lean on that real heavy. They're like, oh, my customers love my website. And that's good. But at the end of the day, what it is, it's called free leads. Okay. That's why we're there to get. We just cleaned a skyscraper yesterday in downtown Nashville, where I'm at, the Pinnacle building. It's one of the tallest buildings in the city for sure. We cleaned on the 8th floor. There is a balcony, a terrace that's like a giant courtyard with plants and patios. And I mean, it's huge. Okay. It's got trees planted on top of this portion of the building. We landed that through Google. They called in, said, hey, we needed it cleaned. Boom, closed the deal. Bam, bam, bam. High ticket, about $750 an hour on that job. And those kind of jobs happen all the time. Why? Because we sit at the top of Google. These customers who are wanting these services, and they had an event coming. Okay. So it was timely. They needed it done. Well, who'd they call? They called the person with the 5-star reviews. We give them a price, say, hey, we can come out there, get it done at this time. They go for the job. So at the end of the day, you can capture a lot of these last minute leads, but also the premium quality leads. I mean, every job house we've cleaned at this past week has been $3+ million. The skyscraper is probably $500 million, but and how much those houses cost. So it really gives you access and kind of culling the herd on your lead base, on your prospects, to where you can go to those high ticket leads because they see you at the top of Google. And look, people won't refute Google. They're like, oh, this guy's got the most stars. He's showing up number one. Must be good. You want to reverse engineer that public persona and credibility that Google has in your favor.
Absolutely. So kind of second your point there, Aaron, we have to think about when we think about these large commercial jobs that we want to get in front of, how are these people finding the service providers? They're Googling, right? They're Googling pressure washing. So when you hold that top spot, you are in that primary real estate. And so just to name off a couple, like you said, we did a hospital that was $40,000. Y'all did a skyscraper yesterday. You've done dealerships. We've done strip malls. We've done big industrial cleanings. Like the jobs that you guys want that are, 5 figures and up will come from things like your website, will come from things like Google My Business. So if you guys don't have a website, definitely check it out. So Aaron, when's the best time to build a website then?
I would, as I always say, Justin, you've hung out with me long enough, but it's the best time to have started your web build was, 5 years ago, right? Obviously. And here's why. The second best time is today. It's kind of like planting a tree. You take the seed, if you ever want to sit under the shade of a beautiful oak tree, well, you had better hope that your grandfather planted it 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 100 years ago, right? And that's how you have to think about a website. Over time, the power of the website and what they call aged domains, those do have preeminence in the market, and they do possess a power over a brand new website. Google has crawled that website. It has seen you update it with the content strategy over time. It has seen you constantly updating your project pages, And eventually, over time, what you do is you just outwork the market, and your site becomes so relevant for that service that you start sitting at the top of Google, and every single housewife, assistant to a rich person, all of these people, they say, hey, the boss needs pressure washing. Okay, pressure washing near me. Okay, well, this guy just got good 5-star reviews. He shows up first. Click call. That's what you get. And that happens multiple times a day. So if you can think, a lot of you guys are out there passing out flyers or you're running Facebook ads, which is fine. A lot of what I'm talking about is zero sweat after the fact. You people just call you every day wanting to purchase your service and asking when can they get on the schedule.
I think one of the things is like when it comes to marketing is getting out of our own way. For me, like whenever I first started, I had in my mind, I thought that acquiring customers needed to be hard. I thought I needed to go out and pass out the flyers. I thought if I wasn't out there, talking to people, shaking hands, giving out cards, that I wasn't doing the right things. But this is a much easier model. Like you mentioned, it's digital real estate. Whoever owns the top of that Google search essentially gets the calls from these big companies. So I like the mindset shift there, Aaron, and I think it's imperative for people that want to be successful with getting leads, through a website.
So I think first, like, guys need to understand that this is not going to be instant. A lot of what you just talked about right there is instant. Okay,
Right.
you pass out flyers, probably the next day or the next couple days, somebody's going to call you. You put yard signs out, and these are all proven strategies. These things still work. They will always work. All marketing works. It just depends on how much volume you put out, how frequent you hit the customer, who's interested, who are you fishing for, right? You're fishing in the right spots. Google is a much longer game, but a lot of guys I'll see, they'll be doing all the things that you just talked about. They'll have Facebook up and they'll be doing the flyers and shoe leather marketing, if you will, knocking on doors. But they have like a crappy little website that's never going to rank. And the website is just underbuilt, or they built it, or they paid a one-time guy, $2,000 or whatever to build it. And it hasn't been updated in a long time. And the content is really sparse. The coding's kind of whack. The menu systems are not easily navigatable. That's a big thing with Google, is how your content is siloed on the site, and the structure is huge. And so a lot of times they're kind of shining a turd for the rest of their business because they checked a box and say, hey, I have a website. Yeah, but your website is shit. So that's why it's not ranking, and that's why it doesn't have a chance to rank. And look, frankly, a lot of guys never know this, and they just go off in oblivion and don't really know why they don't have leads coming in. And 8 months, a year passes, no idea. But that's why it's key, and that's why we kind of talk about the team that you'll put in the description. They run my website. They run they've been open since 2004. All they do is contractor websites. Okay. That's all they do. So they know local business, local contractor business. They're very niche at how they build. It's $199 a month. Okay. And their customer service is amazing. But the big key here is that that's all they do is contractors. So figuring out the local Google business is much different than figuring out national Google business. Local Google business happens in the map pack, happens with ranking for near me type searches, happens with you're competing with other pressure washers within a mile, 2 mile, 5 mile vicinity. Proximity is huge. It's at a premium when it comes to Google My Business. So you really want a team who understands, a team, not a one-off build. You want a team that's going to be ongoing, that you can afford to pay every month with like a gutter cleaning, who you can converse with. You send in your pages, they build the whole site, but you're going to send in like your project pages when you complete a project, or a blog page or something like that you write, that I teach you in the local domination course. And they're going to put that up. They'll build the page. They'll do everything. They'll optimize for SEO, for what local search is doing right now. So that's kind of why the team is important. You don't want to be getting off at 6 p.m. sweaty and having to go work on a website you don't really know how to work on. So,
Right. So this was actually my next question. You kind of answered it, Aaron, but maybe you could touch on it a little bit more. So like Larry, he says, I'm paying full attention. I'm new to this. I'm starting fresh Monday to create a website. So the difference between a website that someone creates and let's say having a web team develop your website, if you were to give like the biggest differences, I know you just listed a couple off.
Well, the biggest difference is like is know-how and skill, right? And understanding what Google algorithm updates have happened in the past year, 2 years, 3 years. Okay. Yeah. Anyone look, these web builders with Carly Kloss on them, you know, the supermodel, she's like, hey, I built a website and it's up and running and the commercial looks amazing. And look, let me tell you something. That website ain't gonna rank because she built it on Wix. It may rank because she's Carly Kloss. That's about it. And she's a celebrity. And if somebody searches for it. But for you, the pressure washing guy, the value, or the landscape guy, the value of having a web team who specializes in local service businesses is because all of that data structure is going to be dialed in. And if I don't know how to really convey this, Justin, the
Right.
importance of data structure for guys, because it starts to like, I'm just going to be honest, it starts to go over their head and they're like, hey, I just want to clean shit. And
Right.
it's like, let it go over your head, man. Like, just understand that you don't know what you don't know, and you need to abdicate it to somebody else at like a reasonable price. Let's be real, per month, who's going to give you excellent customer service and going to really take care of the site. You'll always own the site. You'll always own your domain. They'll never own that. That's not something they take over. You always own it. And there's no contracts with them either. So I've never had a problem. They run multiple sites for me. And they still run multiple sites for me. So like I'll
Right.
never cancel my service with them.
And so if you look at what we did too, like our website, we got that hospital lead off of it, $40,000, and we hadn't even had the website for a year. So even if it was 200 a month, I mean, you're talking about $2,400. Would you trade $2,400 for $40,000?
What if you just got one lead that year
That was
from the site, right? Like, and it
one
was
lead,
that.
right? So
So
like, yeah, go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna see what 40,000 divided by 2,400 was. So like literally that's 16 years basically off of that one job. So this is just to put into context. It's like, oh hell, I'm not gonna go out there and pay somebody to tinkle with my website for $200. It's like, well, when the possibility of skyscrapers are on the table and shopping malls and dealerships and hospitals, when you can kind of quantify within those aspects, as well as if you want to be a professional business. Do you want to be at the top 1%? Well, then you need to have the top 1% website, top 1% web presence, things of that nature. So I think
You
it's
need to
all
have the
relative.
site that's capable of being there. A lot of guys don't know their dinky site isn't capable. Like they built it and it's like sparse content and it's them writing the content, and they don't know how to write content that Google wants. They just wrote roof cleaning. We'll come clean your roof and we're the best in town. And it's
Right.
like, well, that's not going to rank over my site. Okay. That's just not like happy birthday. You're going to get to live on page 2 and
Right.
no one's ever going to see you. And then you're going to hate that your site's not working, or you'll just look, you know what most guys do? They just keep knocking doors, right? They just never know. They
Right.
absolutely never know the freedom that a quality site can bring them in terms of daily leads coming in, calling you basically for free at this point, asking you to clean their stuff, and when can you clean it? The intent, go into this, Justin. Let's talk about intent
Right.
on the quality of lead that Google brings versus flyers, or versus, you know, the price shoppers of Angie's List, or Lord have mercy, Home Advisor, some of these other things. It's a completely different lead. Like when the rich folks call on Google, they're getting it cleaned. They, in fact, want you to clean it. All you have to do is get them a price that's within reason and profitable. Most of these people actually want you to be profitable. They're like, cool, when can you clean? You know what I'm saying? A lot of guys are used to the haggling, used to the trashy customers. And most of the time on Google, when your site gets really ramped up, a lot of these people have very high intent to buy. They call in, they want it done. Let's go do it.
Right. Absolutely. And yeah, that's one of the biggest benefits to the Google because they're actively searching for it. Anybody you pass a yard sign or a flyer out in front of, anybody you get a yard sign out in front of, they're not actively looking for pressure washing. So those people have a lower intent to buy. They're going to have a lower, you're going to have a lower ability to close those people because they're not actively seeking someone to pressure wash. We do have a question from Dan. Oh, that's not the question from Dan. This is a question from Dan. Are blog posts still ranking in SEO like 5 to 7 years ago for service industry sites?
Yes, very much so. You're going to need to kind of start sorting what type of content you build because Bob Vila, Angie's, a lot of these places have kind of picked up on some of these blogs that you would write, this content you would write, and they're starting to create it. Well, their website has millions of users a month. So Google will give the tip of the hat to a local service business versus a lead aggregator. This is what's really cool. They will give the tip of the hat to you if your site is ranking well, you've been building content, you got some longevity on the domain. They will give you the number one spot over Angie's List or Home Advisor because they know Angie's List and Home Advisor is a lead aggregator service. They're not a real local business. Google does want you to play within their realm, and they want to reward you for that because they know that you may spend money on Google Ads, and they love when you spend money on Google Ads. So if they rank you high or getting leads on Google, you're like, hey, let me boost this. I'm going to put some money down on Google Ads. Now you're ranking high and you're running Google Ads. You basically own the town and you own the area. So they get that. They will put you above Angie's List. So blog posts do rank, but you just need to have a little more discernment on what content you're going to write. You don't want to start trying to write how to wash a vinyl house if if your site's brand new. You kind of want to start finding some of those niche type services that no one's really talking about on Google and write them in impervious detail, like incredible detail to where your article is the best. You don't want to start trying to go up against some major heavy hitters with very generic search terms like how to wash a vinyl house. You'll never rank for that because the major players have already taken that blog and they're always going to rank at the top 3-5.
So since this guy said 5 to 7 years ago, Aaron, I would imagine 5 to 7 years ago there was a lot less competition with regards to people building out blogs and things for their website, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to become much more prevalent because, dude, I've been preaching it for how long on this
But I
channel?
just want to push a point. Like Facebook is a similar way, right? Whenever I first started on Facebook, there was a lot less competition. People weren't really running Facebook ads, so they were cheaper.
Yeah.
They would get out in front of more people. Like they were just, you didn't have to be as good with them. The thing is over time, as more people find these sources and they start filing into these sources, now you can't just throw out a picture ad on Facebook and be really good with it. You now have to get a little bit more dialed in. You got to have a little bit more strategy. So I'm sure it's the same thing with the web presence, with building out posts and things like that as well, right?
If you're not running what they call long tail keywords are like how to clean a vinyl house with fill in the chemical, right? Like how to do like stuff that like fewer people search for, but there is a group out there, a small group, probably 200 people a month that use that exact wording, and you can capture that audience with your article. Okay. You're going to need to target more of that type of stuff and really write the article heavy. Okay. You're going to want to write 1,000, 2,000 words. Most guys are never going to write that. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to capture the local market, you need to want to capture the national market first. Answer the public questions on what they have when it comes to your type of service. And then that will push you up in the local rankings.
So I'm sure, 5 to 7 years ago, you probably build your own site and have a lot more success with it, but there's just a lot more competition now. So G.I. Jones said, so do we just Google web designers in our local area? No. If you want to use our web development team, we'll have a link. There's a link right now in the description. Once this goes live, we'll have a pinned comment as well of the exact web development team that we use, and we recommend them to everybody. Footbridge estimating 7 to 8 week turnaround after website approval. If I'm ready today with a self-made website, should I wait to start marketing until they build it?
No, like keep your website, Garrett, because they're not going to take your website down. They're going to build when you sign up with Footbridge on the $199 Quote IQ deal. Okay, what they're going to do is they're going to build your website in what they call a sandbox. Okay. They're going to build out the whole website. They're going to write all the content, probably from 30 to 50 pages worth of content and data structure. Okay. It's going to go from your photos to everything. They're doing it all for $199. All right. You couldn't get me out of bed for $199, but let's all right. So keep your site going. Once their site is ready, they will do the transfer. Okay. They will start putting your domain onto the new site, and then that site will continue on. So keep the site you got until theirs is ready. Do your marketing, do your knocking doors, do your flyers, do whatever, take whatever leads you can get, market hard. But after they're building it out, they will do the transfer. It'll be seamless.
Beautiful. I like this question right here. What features do top 1% websites have?
What features do top 1% websites have? They have longevity. They have what's called being an aged domain, okay, which means year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay, not year 1, not month 1. You can't become a top 1% website in month 1, month 6. You'll just never be a top 1%. That's why I say Google is a long game. So first off is longevity. Second is amount of content and the robustness of the content on the site. You can't just keyword stuff a bunch of blogs and think you're going to rank. Google's smarter than that. Also, data structure. Are your services siloed properly? Are they structured out in the schema of how Google wants to see it? Now, these are things you don't know. These are things that the web team knows. Okay. How does Google want to see the data structure? Well, I would say 3 clicks is too much. 2 clicks is great. 1 click, if you can articulate it. See, I'm already talking in terms that guys who are not privy to building, that person needs to be able to get to their destination within 2 clicks. You have to silo that information perfectly to where it is going to be. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot that goes into thinking about the build. It's not just a bunch of photos and some writing going into it and like a call now button. No. There's a lot of science that goes behind the scenes that makes that website rank beyond just what photos and what you write. Also, robustness of content. What I just said, 30 to 50 pages, probably more closer to like 35, 40 worth of content when the website launches. Every single Footbridge site averages between 28 to 35 pages, depending on how much info and services you do and you want to give them to write the content right on the onset of launch. Okay. That's huge because your website currently right now, and I don't know you personally, I'm just talking in general, don't have that many pages. And the content that's on those pages is probably not very good. So this is why I abdicate and have for multiple sites to the team at Footbridge, because they write all the content. They know what it needs to say. They work for contractors, so they already know what you do. They have pressure washers with websites there, so they know we do that, HVAC, all that stuff. They know the lingo. So they know what is ranking. They know how good you're ranking, how good they're ranking. And so they're going to kind of reverse engineer that and make sure that that writing and that content is right. So what do we cover, Justin, in the top 1%?
Well, I want to ask this question because I think it kind of segues really well. And Aaron really can get in the weeds very quickly with websites.
There's a lot of weeds with website stuff, bro. That's why we're talking about like don't get into building it yourself.
That's why I was like, when I wanted to build mine, I'm like, Aaron, tell me what I should do, because when he starts talking and he starts getting into some of the more complex things with regards to ranking and building out relevance and stuff like that, I'm just like, dude, you lost me a long time ago. But the way Chris Watson asked, he said the best way to figure out is to go look at the big brand websites and take notes. So Aaron, what percentage of what actually works is more so under the surface than on what we could gather from actually going to their webpage and scrolling around?
Well, you don't know why it's running. It's like somebody who's, for instance, it's like go look at an Elon Musk rocket, SpaceX rocket, and just take notes. It's like, cool. Well, there's a lot of shit going on behind that sheet metal. You know what I mean? There's other stuff back there that is there for a reason, and there's stuff that's omitted for a reason, right? And so it's easy for us as contractors who should be just out cleaning or mowing or running our business to get caught up in the weeds as a contractor trying to figure out how to garner the tips to build your own. That's not what this live's about. If you're trying to like build your own site, then I'm the wrong guy to talk to. I'm not going to build my own site, never have. So don't take notes on the big brands, because big brands run national SEO. We're talking about local SEO. So you could try to take notes on the local guy who's crushing it. Okay. But what if you could actually beat him with a well-built site? You'll never know. If you try to rebuild every single detail of his site and you know how to connect all of that. I just would say the $200 a month is not worth the headache of trying to relearn this yourself.
Right. And there's a lot of things that they do that you don't even want to learn how to do. But I want to ask a couple other questions, Aaron. Obviously our website can help out with our Google My Business rankings as well, right? It gives us more authority.
Right. So the website will feed Google My Business. Google My Business will not feed the website. So if you get 100 reviews on your Google My website, that's not going to, on your Google My Business, it's not going to power up your website and make it rank higher.
Right.
But your website ranking high will influence the ranking of your Google My Business. Okay. So the longevity of that website, how long it's been, do you have reviews on the site? Footbridge has that. That's included in the $199. That software service that will display those reviews. Are people leaving reviews on there? What's the click-through rate on the site? All of these things calculate into the analytics and the data of why it's going to push up that website, which will push up your Google My Business. It's going to power it up as well.
Okay. And then the last question for you, Aaron, with regards to when you could see fruits of the labor. Obviously we've had some big wins off of Google My Business. We've already gotten free leads in the first year, enough to cover, like we did the math on, 16 years of Footbridge building out our site. But how quickly can someone expect to see returns? And is it possible for, a newer site to outrank one that's older if you're doing more of the right things?
It's always, I'd say minimum 6 months, a minimum. I always say year 2 hits different, especially year 2 in the spring. So if you started your site today, next spring will be like, you will notice some life-changing type, easy type lead money, right? Where it's the leads are coming in and you're like, dang, man, people are calling like hell. You're like trying to get to, you got 5 calls today for really good jobs. You're like, bro, my week booked out today, right? That's going to be kind of like next spring type of situation, which is why I said you should have done this 5 years ago. But I would say 6 months minimum. You're not going to beat the main guy in 6 months, though. You're not. If you're in a rural type area, you could possibly compete in the map pack in that amount of time. But 8 months, 10 months, like I say, year 2, that's when it gets.
Well, I love your tree analogy, right? Like I love the sitting under the shade of the tree that was planted.
Yeah, how you going to expect that? You're going to expect sitting under the shade of a tree tomorrow. You just planted it, man.
I think that's why maybe some people get turned off by the website, because yes, it is going to take longer to return. But I mean, hey, look, all the best things in life take longer, right? Like, would you rather be sweating, passing out flyers for 3 years, or just building a good website than being fed? You know what I mean? So
we know both type of guys. There's some
do.
guys who are, they're just bound and determined to sweat the rest of their life.
Right.
They find it as an honor code, as some sort of weird blue collar infatuation of sweat.
Right.
And if it's not hard, it's not justifiable.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't find a reason to feel good about myself unless I've sweated my ass off. And I don't come from that camp. I'm interested in betting on myself early, buying the stock, buying Tesla when it's $2. Okay. That's what I'm interested in doing. And that's what you're doing with a website. You're putting your money where your mouth is. You're investing in your business, albeit a small amount, $200 a month. You're right. You go clean a gutter. One gutter cleaning a month covers that. We can all rationalize. That should be your minimum for the truck leaving the lot. Okay. So That's an easy rationale. It's not price. It can't be belief. Can't be a belief in the service because they've been open since '04. Okay. Some of y'all ain't even born in '04. Okay. So can't be not a belief in me. It's more of you don't believe in yourself. And I think that's what the big thing is. Guys don't believe in themselves enough to wait that long, right? They're like, I need money now. It's like, well, go hit the bricks, go knock, go through the hard part, do the hard thing, but plant the seed of the website today. Okay.
Right.
Next year, you're going to see some fruit come from that. And it's going to be easier for you next year than it was this year. It's never going to be easy. Running a business is hard as shit. Okay.
Right.
It's a constant barrage of stuff. But the lead flow thing, we have to get rid of the lead roller coaster. And a website by Footbridge with the Quote IQ 199 deal can do that for you, if you will do the steps that we teach.
Right. So check it out. It'll be linked in the comment section description. Not to mention the local domination course, so you can learn Aaron's web content strategy to rank even quicker. So Aaron, excellent. I appreciate you coming on, man, and sharing some great information with us. I think it's kind of like a six-pack a little bit, right? Like how long would it take for most people on here to get a six-pack? It'd probably take like 8 months to a year to really do it. And as long as you know what's on the other end of that, hospitals, skyscrapers, dealerships, strip malls, things of that nature, and you can
Apartments. Yeah.
right,
Like
apartment.
big jobs. Yeah.
Right. Like, what would you pay to get, a $40,000-$50,000 apartment complex? Like,
Well, that's why we say, we've done it so many times, and it's almost like a parody of itself at this point. Like a lot of the
right,
guys who've stuck around, guys in the inner circle who've, had the team building their site for the time I tell you, right? 2 years, man, they're crushing it, dude. They're crushing it.
year
And it
2.
was really just because they hung on long enough, believed in themselves long enough. They didn't quit, and they just did what we taught. And when it's that type of recipe, I guess it could sound too good to be true. I guess it could, right? Like, I mean, you may not got to sweat.
Well,
No.
it's a good thing we got YouTube channels because, like, even the one that we did, it was I think it was a TPO roof. It was 100,000 square foot building, came off of Google, TPO roof, and we washed the whole building as well. I mean, that was like, I think that was either $25,000, something like that.
You soft washed it. It was like easy day.
And we got it on, we got it off of the website. So, hey, look, you know what I'm saying? We can only tell y'all so much, but
Absolutely. Justin, you'll put the link in the description, in the comments. Today is the best time to sign up for your website. Do not wait. Don't prolong it. Don't, hawk what you need to hawk, right? Get started. Make it a point to do the scary thing and stop trying to DIY everything. Look, some of you guys can go DIY a house wash, all right? Because that's what y'all are in. Stop trying to DIY rocket science, okay? Like
right.
you trying to DIY your website. Next year, you're going to be sad because it didn't perform how you thought, and you thought you were saving money. I think some guys think this. They're like, I'm going to save the money. It's like, actually, you just lost out on a hospital job and a giant TPO. You lost out on about $80,000 worth of money,
Right.
and you thought you were saving money. So
The other
invest
thing
in your
that
business.
comes with that too is it wasn't just one hospital, it wasn't just one TPO roof. The person that calls you typically, like the people that called us for the hospital, they own every hospital in this area. I think they have 45 hospitals that they do the property management on. What would you pay to have 45 hospitals, like knowing the property manager, having that number, being able to, ask them if they need any more work? So you also get the contacts as well. It's just, hey, look, you know what I mean? You got to be able to see it through to get the promise.
You got to be able to see the long term. And I think I'm speaking to a few guys probably in the chat right now, the guys who are serious about their business. I'm not speaking to the weekend warrior guys. I'm not speaking to the hobby guys. All right. Those guys, y'all do whatever you're going to do. I'm talking to the guys who want to be around 3, 5, 8 years from now, crushing it. Like the guys in the inner circle, like those guys who have those type of plans, that's who I'm speaking to. So if you're hobbying, just literally take this video and throw it in the trash.
Right. If you go in the inner circle right now and you say, hey, I need to get a website built, who should build it? You will have 40 comments that people telling you that Footbridge should build your site. So, Aaron, what's the word of the day, man?
Word of the day is $199.
Word of the day is $199. Go to Footbridge right now, get the $199 deal from Quote IQ, and it'll be linked in the comment section description. So Today's the best day. Until next time, hustle hard and get that money, baby.
Peace.
Peace.